All right, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us. We are going to kick off our media availabilities today with Kurt Busch. Kurt, you officially announced your retirement from Cup Series competition this afternoon. Would you mind just walking us through that decision and how you're feeling?
Sure. Yeah, I have a statement that I wrote, and then now we can go into some questions. But yeah, last year in Las Vegas, where my racing career began, I sat in front of many of you, and it was one of the toughest and hardest things I've ever had to do in my racing career, and that was to talk about not being behind the wheel of a race car. After decades spent at a racetrack with helmet in hand, preparing to compete, I was forced to take a step back and focus on my health. While stepping away from full-time racing for the 2023 season, it's been difficult, but it has provided me with a different perspective and more time to continue focusing on my recuperation and reflect on all that the sport has given me and all that I still have left to give back to it. Racing at NASCAR's highest level requires every last bit of focus, heart, stamina, and determination. And I know right now I can't give what is required to compete at that level week in and week out. So I'm officially announcing my retirement from NASCAR Cup Series competition. Over the last several months, being out of the car, I've appreciated the opportunity to remain actively involved with 2311, Monster Energy, and the Toyota racing family. And as I can do all that I can and I want to do all I can to continue making this race team one of the best in motorsports. I guess it's fitting that at age 45, my 23 years as a full-time driver in NASCAR would culminate in working with 2311 to impart the knowledge I have for our drivers and our team. And as I transition out of the driver's seat, I can't help but feel incredibly blessed to have spent the amount of time I did as a driver in NASCAR. And I could never have imagined it growing up as a blue-collar kid from Las Vegas. So many people have been part of my journey. I want to thank the fans, my family, friends, sponsors, and team members. Thanks to everyone who has taught me the different things around the motorsports world, and also for those who have had to put up with me. I want to just thank again everyone that continues to push me to strive for success in this sport. It's time for a new journey, and I'm excited to get it started.
All right, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. We'll go ahead and start up here with Jerry Jordan.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net. You talk about this journey. Can you explain what that journey looks like at this point in time, and what does the future hold for Kurt Busch?
Yeah, it's difficult to know which avenues will lead to what here in the short-term future. Still wanting to get doctor approval and to get cleared, that's the first step. That's what I need to do personally. Then we'll have opportunities to talk to different motorsports teams, different sponsors, and doing other races. But the perspective and taking a little step back from being in the car every week, the most joy that I've found is that everything has slowed down for me to help analyze the data, to give advice to Bubba, and to give advice to Tyler, the engineering staff, the team members at 2311. Like that, it's really neat having all of this current knowledge and having the opportunity to be able to digest it and to give back to this team. So that's the short-term goal.
And one more, going into this decision, obviously it's very emotional for you and obviously your fans, your family. Can you talk about how you came to this culmination and what the timing and everything to tell us?
Yeah, it's not one moment that's led to this. It's a few different factors, and my body is just having a battle with father time. I've had arthritis ever since I can remember. My gout is flared up so much that I can barely walk on some days, just pushing to get through physical therapy and to continue the workouts. I remember last summer, I was trying to not show that emotion, and I barely could even walk to the car at Dover because I had to have some shots pre-race just so that I could move my knee and move my feet. Those are those moments where things were starting to add up before things happened at Pocono. So father time, I'm 45 years old, I'm very happy, complacent, and there's nothing that I look back on and regret about having this opportunity at the top level of NASCAR.
All right, we'll go to Bob and then Chris.
Bob Pockers, Fox Sports. You've said previously that 90 to 95% of your life is normal, but when your heart rate gets elevated is when you've had difficulty. Is that still the case?
It's not as bad as it was last summer, last fall. I genuinely feel good about the improvements throughout, call it 3 months at a time, and then we'll push harder to find other things to help with my vestibular movements and to balance out my core strength, so that way everything is stronger within my system to be able to react at top level speed.
Hey, Kurt. Chris Gollin with News Daytona Beach. First of all, congratulations on a remarkable career. And so your crash that was ultimately the last time you were in the Cup car out in qualifying at Pocono, that came amidst a series of crashes in the next-gen car that caused some head injuries. So I was wondering if you've had the chance to observe some of the efforts NASCAR has made to kind of improve that, and what do you think about the future of preventing head injuries in the Cup Series going forward?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of a Hollywood story ending, so to speak, on going for pole in your last race, going out on top. And yes, I think that NASCAR is doing all the right things to improve the safety of the car and made quick, prompt changes after collecting data on my incident and many others. And it's always something in life where you're trying to improve things and make it better for everyone. And I think NASCAR, the teams, and the collaboration that I see between the DAC, the RTA, NASCAR, everybody's moving in the right direction.
All right, we'll go to Claire and then Lee Spencer.
Claire B. Lang, Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. It's pretty moving to look around this room and see Steve O'Donnell and Mike Helton and Toyota Racing Development and David Wilson and your team and your brother back here, who came early, by the way, to make sure he was here on time. But what does all this mean to you as far as the feeling you get from the many years you've put into it and the people that are here supporting you in this announcement?
I said I wasn't going to get emotional. There you go, Claire. Thanks.
Sorry.
No, thank you to everyone. I was texting Mike Helton earlier this week, and I said to him, I didn't really think I was going to get out of 2002 with as many arguments as we've had. And everyone that's in the room, thank you. Whether it's the sport, our manufacturer, our sponsors. Thank you, Mitch Covington. You stood behind me back in 2012 and said, we will support you. We will sponsor you, Kurt. And it's been an amazing journey with you guys. And to say that you've been with a sponsor for over a decade, we're getting close to for 12 years now, that's been an amazing friendship. Anytime I reference Monster Energy, it's like I work for the company and I'm trying to do all I can to help move product and to create that lifestyle and a can feel. And so thank you to the team. Thank you guys. There's plenty of stories and fun and wins and losses, but thank you to NASCAR, for giving me a fair shake at this. There's a bunch of cool trophies at the house, lots of memories, and I hope to give back in all the ways that I can moving forward.
And one follow-up. It's obvious you're a gifted race car driver, but I've stood out on pit road to watch you work with the team, and it's real easy to see what they take from you. I've seen you put sticky notes in the motor coach where you're putting down tire codes and things like that. What is it that you have, and what have you found with the team in particular? Because I think there's a lot you can give back, maybe even more than what you gave as a driver. What is that, and what reward do you get from it?
I think the foundation that my dad, Tom, instilled in Kyle and I from the very beginning about race cars and working on them and understanding every element about the car, even before you drive it, that was a key factor. And then when my dad was putting so much time and money towards our racing, he's working 80 hours a week. We're going to the racetrack every weekend. And when I started to click, and it started to click for me, and I started to win races, I just wanted his job to be easier. I mean, he's my crew chief. He's my car owner. He's a sponsor. He's everything. And I wanted to communicate to him clearly how the car was handling And I think that's something that I took with me to every race team, was just trying to be clear, precise, and help them do their job, but also make their job easier for them. And I think that's why I had so much success at all the different race teams.
We'll go to Lee.
Lee Spencer, catchfence.com. So you talked that you eventually want to get back into some form of racing. What is it going to take? What is your, PT, what have you, look like to reach or attain that goal?
Yeah, keep pushing with the physical therapy, the workouts, doctor visits, tests, and there is no timeline. I just know I need to feel from right here that I am good and look the doctor in the eye, and he'll tell me that I'm good to go. And that was the struggle, mentally, emotionally, the push last summer to try to get back for the playoffs, and I wasn't able to make it. That was the toughest one. Now everything's settling in, and whether I drive again or not, there's so many more things for me to do, and there's no real timeline.
And when you look back, you talk about being that blue kid from Las Vegas, but when you look at what you've accomplished, whether it's the wins, the championship, winning the Daytona 500, can you just talk about the evolution from that, kid that showed up at Roush Fenway, so many years ago to where you are now?
Yeah, being able to win in all of NASCAR's divisions, the ladder system of a hobby stock, a late model, Southwest Tour cars, trucks, went straight to Cup, then came back and did a few races in Xfinity. And to have all the wins at all the different style tracks, I wanted to be a driver that fans could always count on for a good, solid run each day, each weekend. Whether it's up in New England, those New Englanders embraced me after Ricky Craven and my finish at Darlington. The Midwesterners and the big push in Chicago and Kansas and Texas. I always just wanted to give them, somebody to root for that they could always count on, because I'm pretty much just like them. I'm a blue-collar worker that got an opportunity to do something really cool, and that's that racer in me that was able to win 19 different years. If I could have snuck that win in at Sonoma with James Finch's car at Phoenix Racing, the rear end was falling out of it. And I cannot believe we didn't win at Furniture Row. That's one thing I look back on. We had 9 outside poles, but we could not finish the race at the end. That would have been 22 straight years of winning. And I think that would be more so than Richard Petty's record. So just missed out on a couple, but it's nothing that I really get stuck on too much. I was going for my own little stat because I was a baseball guy. I was trying to create this little thing called a 30-30 club, which is 30 wins and 30 poles. And I think there's only a few select drivers that fit in that category. And I came up just a little short. And maybe that was my improper motivation at Pocono, trying to go for pole. But you always got to have goals. You always got to push yourself. And I want to continue to do that with my team, sponsors, and everybody. And I thank you all as a family here, because you've helped me grow quite a bit since the blue-collar kid got out of Vegas.
All right, we're going to go right there to the left.
Mike Brodsky, Florida National News. Kurt, as you reflect back on your memories being here at Daytona, what are your greatest memories of both being a driver as well as a fan?
As a driver, I got to race here in the trucks and finished second my first ever race here. I wrecked about 15 times, but somehow kept the fenders on it and finished second. Ran IROC cars here. I've been in the 24-hour race here and finished podium. I finished second 3 times, 2003, 2005, 2008. My teammate Ryan Newman got in my way, and so I had to push him. And I never was angry at the track, though. Like, there was so many second-place finishes and wrecks and frustration moments. I was like, the track, maybe I'll win here one day. And I was able to have that opportunity in 2017. So it's a special place. Here, Charlotte, Darlington, Bristol, Vegas, those are my top 5. But Daytona is our crown jewel, motorsports NASCAR event, the Daytona 500, and I'm happy that I have the Harley J. Earl.
Congratulations.
Do we have any questions in the press box?
No questions in the press box.
Do we have any final questions down here? Right up here.
Deb Williams, Auto Week. Kurt, as you continue your recovery and work to hopefully one day get back in the car, just to clarify something, will you continue to work with 2311 in an advisory role or helping with that team?
Yes, as long as they'll allow me. I made up my official title this year. I was called CFD. It's coefficient of drag, really. That's what CFD stands for, but I renamed it Captain of the Fun Department. So that's been a good role. And then as of late, though, I've revised it. I want to become slightly more professional within the group. So I've named myself CVO, Chief Vision Officer. Of course, whatever it means, but I enjoy working with all the departments and being that extra set of eyes and helping our team advance so that we can win more races, be more competitive, and have shots at winning championships, because that's the person who I am, and I want to give back to our team.
Thank you, and thank you for your wonderful career.
Thank you. Appreciate it, everybody.
All right, thank you. All right, good afternoon, everyone. We are now joined by today's pre-race concert performer, country music artist Nico Moon. Nico has an impressive resume in the music industry, writing for groups like Rascal Flatts, Zac Brown Band. His full-length debut album, Good Time, came out in 2021, and his latest single, Better With You, was released earlier this summer. Nico, how does it feel to be here at Daytona performing tonight's pre-race concert?
It feels amazing. Thank y'all so much for having me. This is my very first time getting to be here, y'all. So very grateful for the opportunity.
And Nico, you may know tonight is a playoff final cutoff race before the regular season finale. You have any drivers you're pushing for to get into that final playoff spot?
That is a really good question, and I'm wide open on it. I'm really just here to enjoy it, take it all in, and have some good music come down too.
Awesome. Well, we'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If anyone has a question, we'll get you a wireless mic to you. Just raise your hands. All right, well, I'll give you another question. You got any special music you're getting ready to perform for us? Like I said, your first album came out in 2021, latest single earlier this summer. Anything you're looking forward to performing tonight, or is it a secret?
Nah, it's no secret. I only make positive music. I'm a big believer in optimism and the effects it can have on reality. So I choose to make only positive music. So the whole show today is going to be good vibes only.
That's awesome. And how long have you been here at Daytona today? You seen anything that's impressed you?
Oh, I have been here for about 2 hours. So I just got here.
Nice and hot out, though.
Yes, yes.
All right. Any questions here for Nico? All right, go over in the back.
Hey, how you doing, Nico? Excited for you to perform tonight. I'm Kenneth Bueno. Talk about the experience of performing at a racetrack. I know that at a concert venue, very different, more closed in, probably a little louder, but at a racetrack, I'm sure it's different. How excited are you for that type of atmosphere?
Yeah, I'm excited for it because I've never played at a racetrack before. I've played in a basketball arena and I've played football, but I've never played a racetrack before. And I'm all about checking things off in my life. So, hey, let's put a checker down and get this experience in. I'm super excited.
Any final questions for Nico? All right, thanks for joining us today, Nico, and good luck tonight. All right, everyone, we are now joined by the honorary pace car driver for tonight's Coke Zero Sugar 400, Ricky Carmichael. Ricky is a 5-time Daytona Supercross champion and a 15-time Supercross motocross champion. Ricky, I know you're probably more comfortable riding on a bike than in a car, but how are you feeling tonight about driving that pace car around the track and leading the field to green?
Yeah, it's certainly an honor, for sure. Me being a fourth-generation Floridian, and then you think about the time that I've spent here on two wheels and be a five-time Daytona Supercross champion. It certainly is special. This place is very special. I always wanted to win in both disciplines, four wheels and two wheels. Came up short. Had some good runs here, one particular year in the Truck Series, but I love this place. A lot of history here between two wheels, four wheels, if you think about it. So I'm excited. It's an honor to be the honorary pace car driver tonight, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it.
And as you mentioned, you have some awesome moments here at the World Center of Racing. Do you have one that stands out in particular to you?
Well, I think anytime you're able to do something for the first time is the most special, for sure. And that, for me, was in 2000. I was able to win my first Daytona race main event in the premier class, so that was fun. And I was able to beat the king of Supercross, Jeremy McGrath. He had me on the ropes for sure, and I didn't think that I was going to be able to get the job done. And had he went one more lap, he for sure, I would have surrendered the lead to him. But that one's always special, for sure. And just coming here, when you think of all the great winners and champions from all forms of motorsports that have been here, it's special for me. It really is. So, but definitely 2000 was special.
Great. Well, we'll open it up to questions. We'll go ahead and start up here with Lee.
How difficult was it for you to transition from two wheels to four and, try your hand, whether it was in the trucks or the Xfinity Series? I think you had a top 10 here in a truck at Daytona, which, is pretty sporty. But, what was that transition like?
Yeah, that's a great question. The transition was tough. I mean, you think about the guys at the time that I was racing in the Truck Series, the Hornadays, the Bodines, the Skinner, like that. That's some... Not to take anything away from the guys in there now, but that's some heat right there. So it was a very steep learning curve. I was grateful for that opportunity, but it was tough. If you think about it, going back, and I'm not trying to make excuses, but that's when you couldn't test or anything like that. So I kind of fell in at a difficult time, a challenging time, but I did the best that I could. It was still fun. I'm glad I got that opportunity, but it was hard. Racing guys have been doing it their whole life, just like for me for dirt bike racing. So it was tough, and learning what that grip level was on hard pack surfaces rather than growing up on dirt, and of course being on four wheels instead of two wheels, and relying more on your equipment, where the motorcycle, I would say, is probably 70% rider, where you can basically win on everything, where that was completely different. And learning that limit and not overdriving what you have, or just if you just have a 10th place truck that day, that's just what you have, and that was always tough to swallow for me, because that was never the case in motorcycle racing. But it was tough, but it was fun.
We'll go over to Jeff and then over here.
Hey, Ricky, how's it going?
Hey, how's it going?
Had you stuck with the NASCAR thing longer, like just been like, no, you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm just going to keep going. Like, how long do you think it would have taken you to catch up to these guys that have been doing it for so long?
That's a great question. So I look back at my journey and, the options that I had. Had I done things differently, I would have taken less races in the best possible team that I could have had with the funding that I had. And the reason that I say that is because it has nothing to do with the teams. I'm very thankful for the opportunity that I had, especially at KHI. Kevin was huge for my progression. But when we left KHI, for the lack of seat time that I had, I needed to be at the best program possible that had as many resources as possible. I think that would have helped me prolong my four-wheel career. I still feel like I could have done better. I started to figure it out right towards the end of my last year in the Truck Series, and time ran out, sponsors ran out, and things changed. I would love to do it again, even if it was a one-off race, for sure. I really love this sport. I love everything about it, and so I know it's a long-winded question, but yeah, if I could have done it over, I think I probably should have taken less races, and one of the best teams out there that had everything, all the tools that I needed.
We'll go to the front, and then Moody, and then Kenneth.
Dylan Spalding with Auto Racing Digest. Ricky, seeing what Travis did at the Daytona 500 earlier this year and being from similar disciplines, is the possibility more for you to get back into a next-gen car? Do you see yourself getting into one of these next-gen cars here in the near future?
I mean, again, I would take the opportunity for sure. I think, Travis has way more seat time than I do. Obviously, taking different paths along our career, but nevertheless, I feel like I've had plenty of time in cars to where I could do something like that and take that opportunity if it ever arises. I think it'd be a fun story for sure. And I thought Travis did great. I think that coming to a super speedway like this, obviously it's there's a heightened risk, I feel like, because the pack racing. But then there's other times I feel like it's a little easier rather than having to use your brakes and things of that nature. I love them both. I love super speedways. I like smaller tracks too, like Martinsville, where the timing is very similar to, say, like Supercross and riding a motorcycle. So I did very well. I say very well for me at those style of tracks. But yeah, I'd love to take the opportunity to do it again.
Dave Moody, MRN and Sirius XM NASCAR Radio. When you came in here, you'd spent your life as the GOAT. How difficult was it to spend some time not as the GOAT? Mm-hmm. And do you feel like now, with some years in retrospective, in hindsight, that maybe you pushed yourself, were a little too hard on yourself, or maybe your expectations immediately were a little too high?
I didn't have high expectations because I had so much respect for these drivers that I knew it was going to be hard. I just needed more time. Looking back, I think I'll always be hard on myself. If I had an opportunity to go out there and do it again, and I didn't perform at the level that I think I needed to perform, especially with my racing, just my racing mentality and my experience. I mean, racing is racing at the end of the day. If I have great people helping me, great mentors and great teams, there's an expectation to perform, and if I don't, I'm going to beat myself up for it. So I don't think that I was too hard. It was just, I always felt like I was learning something every single weekend, or I was put in every situation for 2.5 years that I'd never been in. And so it's like I never had an opportunity to not make that same mistake twice. And yeah, I don't think it was because I was too hard. I just straight up ran out of time.
Go over to Kenneth.
Hey, Ricky, as a native of Florida, I'm sure that all the wins that you've picked up here for Supercross must have been super special, knowing that you've came from this area. Mm-hmm. Talk about the special impact that this track continues to have on you and over your career. I know that you designed the Supercross track this year, earlier in February and March, and talk about that impact from then and over to tonight's race where you're driving the pace car.
Yeah, so this place is the world center of racing. I'll never forget the first time I came into this facility, came through the tunnel. It was its own world center of racing. So I love Daytona International Speedway. Of course, I've been a big part of the Supercross races, again, winning 5 times, and the largest amateur Supercross race here that we host the 2 days after the Daytona Supercross, and my involvement with Daytona Supercross, designing the track. I love it. The reason I love it is because of the history here, and it's just awesome. What else can I say? And then before I came over here, I was in a NBC production meeting with everybody, and they were just asking, and one of the analysts is like, this is one of the biggest racetracks that you can win at, and let's not forget that. And that just shows you the magnitude of what this place and how special it is to every single motorsports driver. And to win here is special, and you can see it on everyone's face. They always talk about it, whether it's 2 wheels, 4 wheels. It's always, man, it's so neat to win here at Daytona. And obviously being a Floridian makes it extra special for someone like myself.
Go to Reed.
Reed Spencer with the NASCAR Wire. What was your impression of Ken Roxon's comments on Jet Lawrence basically saying that he was getting too much attention?
Yeah, it's funny that Ken forgets that we were talking about him like that in 2016, and I was going back and forth with him. You know, I feel like, and Ken's a competitor with him, but yeah, we're gonna talk great about Ken at the first SMX playoff round in Charlotte on September 9th. Ken was a generational rider at the time, and Jet Lawrence is one of those guys there. I was a little surprised that he said anything, and I don't even think that it was more towards Jet. I think it was more towards our teammates, you know, on the, you know, doing the reporting. But you know, I don't know. You got to be careful on social media these days, and it kind of got out of hand there. But you know, I know that Ken has a lot of respect for his competitors, but I will tell you, Jet Lawrence is the real deal, and I've said it before. I think he has the ability to be the sport's best that has ever done it. I think he can. The Supercross beating Jeremy McGrath's win record is going to be tough, for sure, but if there's anyone that has the ability to do it, it's probably going to be Jet. The interesting thing is I just think that he's going to have so many outside offers, and that I don't know that he'll be around to beat that mark.
You think he may try to come over here at some point?
Who knows? Who knows what that guy's going? I mean, he could be an entrepreneur. I know he's got Jets and Donuts, so you never know how that's going to take off. And you know, who knows? He'll maybe sell it to a private equity group. But I think the biggest thing, and I've said it from day one, Jet Lawrence is a generational rider. If he can manage the outside noise, he's going to be something special. And the crazy thing is that the level that he is at, he's still scared to get beat. And that's a tough combination to beat. Yeah.
We'll take our final question from Dustin.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Ricky, I guess to continue a little bit about Jet, but looking back at your career, obviously you made the transition at 29, and I know with the, you know, motocross, supercross, that's a young man's game, and it really beats your body up. And so it was a good time, and you still were young enough in this sport. When you look at somebody like Jet, even though you talk about him being a generational talent or anybody else that's young, you know, it's hard to pass up all of that, but is it almost better if anybody is looking to the idea of four wheels, that they do it at an earlier age than you do? And is that, if you ever had that conversation with Jet, is that something you would talk to him about, or he's got to plot his own path?
Yeah, I think he's going to certainly plot his own path, and I feel like in today's generation compared to mine, especially the generation now, that they don't ride as much as I did during the week, or my generation did during the week. Therefore, their longevity, they're going much deeper, you know, into their early 30s, maybe mid-30s. Mid-30s is stretching it, but as I say that, Jet has had so much success at a young age. He just turned 20 years old. So when you're winning that much from a very young age, the burnout rate, I feel like, to continue the path that he's on and at that level for another 7 years, it's gonna be tough to do that, you know, even as good as he is riding. So if I was guiding him, you know, I think first and foremost, you have to accomplish your goal, and whatever that might be. If he wants 7 Supercross championships and 75 Supercross wins, or what, that needs to be the primary focus, and set his path. And then if he wants to exit and try some four wheels, certainly the earlier the better, 100%. I mean, I wish I could have done it earlier. Obviously, I couldn't. I didn't have the opportunity to do it. But first and foremost, I don't think that he should leave. You know, I don't think he should leave SMX and jump into something like this. I think he needs to complete his career path in dirt bike racing, and then if the opportunity presents itself on four wheels, then go that route. That's what I would say. it's going to be much harder for him to have success in 4 wheels than it's going to in 2 wheels. Yeah, good question. Thanks,
All right.
Dustin.
Thanks so much, Ricky.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
When did all the camps start? I mean, I interviewed Jed a couple of years ago, and he was training at a camp.
The camp facility started probably about 10 years ago, but they've become massively big the last 6 years.
I was kind of curious.
Yeah,
about
they
that.
all have facilities now that they ride at.
Because I know the Deacons sold their compound in North Carolina to move down.
That's right. So his team bought my old facility.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, my track, mine was private. Yeah, so they've done a good job.
Super. Thank you for your time.
Hey.
All right, we now have U.S. Olympic swimmer and 2-time gold medalist Bobby Fink here with us today. Alongside his accomplishments at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics, Bobby is also a University of Florida alum, where he earned the title of NCAA champion in multiple events. Bobby, you grew up in Florida, you went to school just a couple hours down the road, and now you're holding an honorary position at Daytona, one of the most famous venues not only in the state but in the country. How does it feel to be here today?
Honestly, it feels incredible just to be able to travel to different places and be able to be a special guest at enormous events like this. And this is my first NASCAR race I've ever been to, so I'm very honored to be able to do it here with Coca-Cola, and it's such a historic venue. And I'm just excited to be able to watch an incredible race today.
Great. We'll go ahead and open it up to questions. If anyone has a question, go ahead and raise your hand. We'll get you a wireless microphone. All right, we'll start with Kenneth in the back and then come up to Greg.
Hey, Bobby, really awesome to have you as part of the NASCAR race this evening. You said it was your first. So are there any drivers you've been looking at, anybody you're kind of rooting for, or is it just wide open, you're going to pick anyone as the race goes by?
I want to find a good underdog going into this race, someone who hasn't made the playoffs yet, and are really hungry to get there. So that's who I'm going to be really looking for. I don't have a favorite yet, but I'm gonna be looking for some of those guys.
We'll head up to Greg.
Just want to make sure you didn't get out here empty-handed. Obviously, you know a little bit about NASCAR. Did you watch the sport before you were offered this opportunity? Did you know something? I mean, you talk about playoffs, so you obviously know what the heck's going on.
I didn't watch it too much growing up. It's just because like I live in Florida. You know, I've heard of Daytona and everything like that. So I didn't really watch it growing up, but I was definitely aware of it. And my first grade teacher, actually, her husband was a driver. Her last name was Tillotson. So this was back in 2005 or no.
That's yesterday to me, man.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm aware of like NASCAR and stuff. This is my first race. I was never too big in watching like F1 or in IndyCar and stuff like that. But just to be able to be a part of it now and see how it's been growing, and especially have that kind of connection with my first grade teacher is pretty special.
So, but you can kind of draw some parallels because competitive swimming and NASCAR, you're trying to beat the other person, you know, and a big thing in competitive swimming, and I'm obviously not a swimmer, competitive or otherwise, but is like aerodynamics and stuff. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, can you draw parallels like that?
Oh, yeah, for sure. I feel like you can do that with a lot of sports, especially in like track. You know, they always mention like tailwind and stuff like that. For swimming, it's not as much of an impact as I guess it would be for NASCAR, just because of insane speeds you guys are going at. But it's definitely something we do think about in swimming. Just especially with like stroke efficiency and, you know, just how efficient you can be and what your stroke count and how low you can get it. But definitely not as much as NASCAR, because we're going at much slower speeds. But yeah. Mm-hmm. Thank you.
And I have another question. So you've competed on some of the world's biggest stages, with tonight being one of the biggest races in the NASCAR season, regular season finale. Any advice for these drivers as they fight for that final playoff spot?
I'm sure these drivers are incredibly hungry. They want to win. I don't think anybody likes to lose. So if I had advice for them, it's just it's not over until it's over. You don't know what can happen at the end of a race. So just keep your head in it, I guess.
Great. Any additional questions out there? Go over there.
Yeah, hey Bobby, Edgar Thompson, Orlando Sentinel. I actually cover the Gators, man. I haven't met you yet. Good to meet you.
Yeah, thanks, you too.
What's it like with Katie Ledecky? What's that been like? What's that been the impact to her? Do you train with her?
Yeah, Katie and I train every day, every practice. I see her ton around on the pool deck, sometimes same lane, sometimes lane next to me, and we're racing each other. But she's had an insanely positive impact with our group. Just kind of being, she's not too outspoken of a person, but she's like, if you want to find someone who's really good at leading by example, it's her. She's someone you want to follow and just kind of like interact with and learn from her, just because she's been doing this for, I don't know, since 2012, so 11 years, almost 12 years soon this coming up year. So she's had so much experience in the sport, from being a veteran and being someone who was only 15 when they won their first Olympic gold medal. So having someone like that in the lane next to you, pushing you and just giving you advice on like how to handle things, pressure, just race strategy and stuff like that, it's only good things have come from it. And I've definitely learned a ton from her.
Kendall, I'm taking advantage here. Last one. Why are the Gators so successful at freestyle?
I'm not too sure why. Nessie's an amazing coach. He's won some gold medals himself, specifically in butterfly. But recently we've had quite a history of freestyle, of sweeping national events for 3 years now or somewhere like that. But it just goes down to having an incredible support staff and coaches around you, and especially teammates. We're all in it to get better. And Gators are fast in the water, so why not us? So.
Any final questions for Bobby? All right. Thank you so much.
Thank you.